Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first day of our home buying forum. We have 4 days of webinars for you. Today, we're going to talk about the home buying process. We're so glad that you're joining us here today. I want to let you know that we are in webinar mode, and that means for all of you folks who are attending, don't worry, we cannot see you, we cannot hear you, so go ahead, eat your lunch, do whatever you want to do. All the attendees have been muted. We do really want you to participate, though, actively in this webinar and put your questions to us. So the way that you're going to do that is use the Q&A feature in Zoom. Sometimes on the toolbar, you have to go to More to get to it. But you can go ahead and drop questions at any time during the seminar into the chat, and we will answer them. Most of them we'll answer at the end, but if appropriate, we will answer as we're going along. We have a question about whether this is Massachusetts specific. Some of it is. We lend in New England and in Florida, but much of what we're going to share with you is going to be applicable to anywhere in the country. However, Harvard FCU only lends in those places. So thanks for that question. If you want to go ahead and drop into the chat where you're joining us from, we love to hear that too. I'm sorry, not the chat, the Q&A feature. So you can go ahead and drop things in there if you want, or any questions as we're going along. This webinar is being recorded. It's going to be posted on our YouTube channel, and as a registrant, you will get the recording sent to you. And we're going to also ask you to fill out our survey at the end or in the email that you get. So please know that we do read all of your feedback. My name is Jen Fries. I am the Community Engagement Manager with the Harvard Federal Credit Union. I have been with Harvard FCU for just over a year. I have had a personal experience buying and selling condos and houses in this area. I'm going to be your host for all 4 days of the Home Buyer Forum. And just to let you know, I and my team, we are certified credit union financial counselors. So that's kind of the background that we bring to this. Just to let you know what to expect. Again, today we're going to talk about the home buying process. Tomorrow we're going to have a guest from Mass Housing here to talk about affordable home buying and some of the affordable products that we offer at the credit union. Then on Thursday, we're going to talk with a realtor, an attorney, a home inspector. So that's assembling your team and what you might be looking for in those folks and what they are going to help you with. And then the final day on Friday is more for people who already own a home and might want to tap into their home's equity. We will also in that be covering folks who use a home equity loan in what used to be known as a bridge loan. So if you need home equity to make your down payment on your next place, we'll talk about that as well. We hope you can join us for any of these. Go ahead and sign up. We'll be putting the link into the chat. Just by being here, we're entering you into a drawing for raffle prizes. So if you get an email from me, Jen Fries, about a raffle prize, it is not spam. It is because we chose you from among the attendees. So thank you. We do really appreciate you joining us, and look out for that email after the fact. Just to tell you a little bit about, for those of you, I know a lot of you are members of the credit union. If you're not a member and want to know a little bit more about it, a credit union is very like a bank. We do everything that a bank would do. You can get a checking account, savings, mortgages, obviously, credit cards with us, get CDs, etc. But we are not-for-profit financial institution. We're owned by the members, all of the employees. We work for Harvard. We're dedicated to the Harvard community and beyond. And we have a lot of great products and services that are basically set up because we're owned by our members. Everything is to the benefit of us, the members. If you don't already know, we have convenient online banking. We have an app. We also have a network of shared co-op branches. You can walk in and bank nationwide at any of those if you want to bank in person and you happen to end up somewhere a little further away. Um, and then I'm seeing a question come in. Can we repeat or write in what states Harvard FCU lends in? Those are the New England states. So Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, and Florida are where we lend. Thanks for asking that question. And then final thing on Harvard FCU, if you're a member for life. So if you leave, if you're coming to us because you work at MGH, for instance, or at Harvard, or some other way you became a member, you're always a member. You can come back, even if you've closed your account, you can come back and join us again. So we would love to have you. So today we have two of our senior mortgage loan originators with us. And I know you're going to learn a lot from them. Sharon Cummings has more than 2 decades of experience assisting our members with your home buying dreams. In 2015, her colleagues recognized her with our Service Champion Award, which is a big deal in our office. And in 2020, she was promoted to Senior Mortgage Loan Officer. Sharon's always there for our members, and we've got many letters of commendation about the service they've received from her. We're also delighted to have with us Ryan Duckless, who's been at Harvard FCU since 2016. He's been on our mortgage lending team for many years now. And since we did the event last year, many of you may remember Ryan was there for all of our sessions last year. He was promoted to Senior Mortgage Loan Officer with the credit union. So thank you for joining us today. And now I'm going to invite Ryan to come on camera and take it from here.
Sure thing. Thanks, Jen. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you. Just to kind of briefly go over today's agenda. So we're going to start with the home buying journey. We're going to walk you through the process of home buying. And then secondly, we're going to go through the mortgage qualification. We're going to guide you through that process. And then the last step is going to be becoming a homeowner. So if you don't mind, could you go to the next slide, please, and we can begin. So just to kind of start off, I just want to highlight a couple benefits of working with Harvard FCU on your home purchase. So we do offer personalized service. We really pride ourselves in getting to know you, working with you, knowing your needs, being available to everything you need during the process. We offer a range of mortgage products that fit your specific needs. The process is all done digitally. You can submit the application online. We can talk virtually over Zoom, phone call, text, email. We can also meet with you in person too at one of our branches. Just looking down the road. Post-closing, we do have in-house loan servicing, so any questions that ever come up after your closing, we are available locally to answer them and assist you with those. We have a portfolio lending capability as well, so on specific transactions, sometimes they don't conform to conventional loans. We might be able to portfolio that on a case-by-case basis. In addition to all of these, we have competitive rates and credits. The first one, which is a big one, we added this year. It used to be just for first-time home buyers for a discounted interest rate. Now we offer them to all members. So if you're not a first-time home buyer rather, you are eligible to get 1/8% discount off of that interest rate if you open a Crimson Elite checking account with us in AutoPay. We have low down payment options for eligible borrowers. So please join us tomorrow. That's going to be a big day. We're going to have mass housing here and then Daisy as well to talk about our other programs. And then if you are a first-time home buyer, we do give you a $500 closing cost credit just for being a first-time home buyer with us. So where do you start? Journey's a little scary kind of starting off, but really step number one is going to be a pre-qualification. So pre-qualification and pre-approval, those terms are kind of interchangeably used, but they are a little different when you do kind of get down to them. Pre-qualification, that's really just going to be a conversation with your loan originator. So if you schedule a time to talk with one of us at Harvard Credit Union, we'll take all of your information verbally, over the phone or in person. And what we'll do is we'll calculate out for you what loan amount you can be qualified for your home purchase. So that's not going to involve any kind of documentation, anything like that. It's really just kind of kicking off the conversation as you do begin your home search and give you a better understanding. So once you are ready to start shopping for your home, what we'll do is we can start on your official pre-approval. So that's going to be an online application. And with that, we're going to review all of your documents to solidify you as a home buyer. So we're going to take a look at your credit, your down payment, applicable PMI if it is necessary, your assets, income, and which product we're going to pre-approve you for. So once you have that pre-approval in hand, it's good for 90 days. So you have 90 days to begin your shop. And you can look around for properties, and you know that you've had a commitment from the lender, a conditional commitment from the lender saying that you've been pre-approved for this purchase price, this loan amount, and this product. And then once you have that, you have your 90 days to begin your shop. If you don't find a property within the 90 days, we can always reissue you a new one by reviewing, your income hasn't changed and a new credit check as well. So we are partnered with GreenPath Financial Wellness. They're a great partner that we have. So that's really a good place to start just to kind of get a good overview from a financial counselor. It is free of charge. So it's a nonprofit organization, and it's open to all members or non-members as well. They can kind of review everything for you, any kind of debts, help you with a budget, a savings goal, and they can give you some deeper counseling, on student loans, housing, and federal programs as well. Great. So once you've been pre-approved and you have that certificate in hand, it's really time to start assembling your team. And on Thursday, you'll hear from a lot of members that will be hands-on in this process with you. But first is to start with selecting a lender that's going to pre-approve you. You want to make sure they have the available products for you. Make sure that the loan officer availability is going to be 7 days a week. So anybody at the credit union, we are available in off hours, weekends. Any questions you have, need an updated pre-approval, reach out to us. We'll get it to you. We're there for you. And then the service is there as well, which kind of covers that. The next step, once you have the pre-approval in hand, you really want to find a buyer's agent. And key to that is finding one that's community-based in the area that you want to purchase in, and then making sure that they're full-time and experienced. So it's a good idea, to call around, kind of interview them, because they're going to play a crucial role in your home buying journey. Following that, you'll need to get a real estate attorney to help you and represent you during this transaction. Make sure that their location is accessible to you. Typically, the closing will take place at their office. Discuss the costs and everything that goes into it and what they'll provide to you as a buyer. Great. So now you have your team assembled. It's really time to start identifying properties. So what you want to do is you want to make a list. You want to look through what location is going to suit your needs the best. Do you commute to work? Are you looking for good schools, urban, suburban setting? Property type, you really want to narrow them down to either condo, house, multifamily, just to what's going to fit your needs. And then what are your must-haves in this property? Do you need a big backyard? Um, what specifics are you looking for? You really want to narrow these down to have this list to kind of coincide with your pre-approval and then working with your agent so they can identify you the right property that's going to fit your needs. So once you have identified the property of what you're looking for and you're ready to make that offer and you do find a place, now what's going to happen? I'm going to send it over to my colleague Sharon, and she's going to walk you through this a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and thank you for everyone joining us today. So the first item that will happen once you've determined what property you want to put an offer in, your real estate agent will prepare an offer. And in the offer, you're going to have several things outlined in that offer. One being mortgage contingencies, home inspections, an appraisal, and a closing date. The real estate agent will walk you through that and help you with timelines, and they'll be a great resource. You also have to give a good faith deposit. So you found the property, you want to put an offer in. Usually we see our members giving either maybe $1,000 at time of offer or $5,000 at time of offer. It can be different amounts, but your real estate agent would be the one to help you determine what's the best route to go. Within that preparing an offer, they'll give you a certain number of days they'll give the sellers a certain number of days of when to the sellers have to return and respond to your offer, if they're going to accept your offer or not. At that time, once your offer has been accepted, your attorney will take over at that point and handle all the legal transaction. Next slide, please. So the step one was you put your offer in with your real estate agent, your offer is accepted. The next step, it's usually 7 to 10 days from time of offer, you'll go to purchase and sale. And at the time you go to purchase and sale, that's when you'll have your real estate attorney review the purchase and sale and outline anything that's really important to you or important to the transaction. They want to make sure that you're safe and your money is protected. So you go to purchase and sale, they'll outline the dates, the contract will be reviewed by your attorney. And once both seller and the buyer negotiate and sign the purchase and sale, that's when you move on to loan application. We would take your pre-approval application. If you did a pre-approval with the credit union, we would move you over to a live application. At that time, you're going to have an option to you'll have an option to electronically upload multiple documents. Everything's pretty much electronic online when you're submitting your application. We'll also discuss mortgage rates. What's the best product for you? We'd kind of go over everything with you to kind of give you an idea of how comfortable you feel. Are you looking for a 30-year fixed? Are you, maybe possibly looking for a 20-year fixed rate mortgage? We'll talk about different things like points and how can you lower your interest rate. We would go over all that with you. And at that time, we would decide if you wanted to lock into an interest rate. You have the option to float an interest rate at the time of application. We do require you to lock within 15 days of closing. And at that time, you'd work with your mortgage loan originator, and we would just update you as rates are posted, rates change daily. So they're changing all the time. So you'd want to just keep an eye out on the rates. And then when you feel comfortable, once you're locked in for either 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. But we would work with your purchase and sale and lock you into a time frame that is best for you. Once you submit your loan application, you're going to receive what's called a loan estimate. The loan estimate is an extremely important document. It's going to outline all the costs that are associated with this transaction. So there's going to be no surprises for you. You'll get your loan estimate. It will outline the appraisal fee, the attorney fee, all the transaction, the title review fee, recording of the documents. All that will be outlined on your loan estimate. And what's nice about that, you'll have to receive that within 3 business days. And what's nice about the loan estimate, that if anything was to change between the time you receive your loan estimate and maybe a few days, we will update your loan estimate if anything changes. So you're completely aware of what it's costing you to take this loan at the Harvard Credit Union. Once you have your loan estimate, your documents, you're going to provide documentation. Your mortgage loan officer will work with you and provide you a detailed list of what documents are needed for the transaction. Next screen. One thing I would suggest is when you're in this transaction, the best thing is do not apply for credit at all. When we pull your credit report at the time of pre-approval, we're going to use that credit report all the way through closing. So if you apply for a credit in between the time you get your pre-approval until the time of closing, it could change your financial what you're able to be approved for a mortgage. For example, you're in the process, your car breaks down, now you need a new car. I would say reach out to your mortgage loan originator, go over the numbers, kind of give them an idea of what you're looking to spend on a new car, and we will back that into the application to make sure that there's no surprises at closing. We'll make sure that we identify a loan payment and include that in the overall debt to income ratio when the file is being reviewed by the underwriter. Try not to use any new credit or existing credit. Try not to increase debt. That could cause your debt to income ratio, which is what we look at for qualifying. It could cause your debt to income ratio to have you no longer qualify. So definitely try not to apply for credit or increase your debt. So if you have credit cards, try not to use them. Wait till after closing and then use them, because any little thing could impact your transaction, and we don't want to see that happen in the midst of the mortgage transaction. But your loan officer will be there and they'll guide you. And if something was to come up, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll walk you through it and give you our best advice. Next screen. So now your application's in processed. We've reviewed all your income, we've reviewed assets, your credit, and we've received the appraisal. The appraisal is done by a third party. So we have someone go out, look at the property, and give us a true value of what this property actually is worth. In most cases, it's usually pretty spot on accurate with what you put your offer in for. Once we have the appraisal, we share that with you. It gives you, it's about a 30-page report. It's going to give you a bunch of properties that have sold in the past in the area that you're buying the home. And they'll compare, if it's a 2-bedroom compared to, the square footage. It's a great report, and it gives you a lot of really good information. So once we have the appraisal, your file is moved on to the next step, which is it goes to underwriting. At that point, our underwriter will take the file with all your documentation, review everything once again, assets, income, credit, and they'll also review the appraisal. And that's when they say your loan's been approved. The difference between this point here at the mortgage commitment and the pre-approval is we're approving you as a borrower, but when you're in the application process, mortgage commitment is when the underwriter reviews the property as well. So we know you're approved, the property's approved, and now we're heading on to closing. So once you've received your commitment letter, usually you get that. It's usually about 7 to 10 days prior to closing. Our team will notify the closing team that you are clear to close, and they'll send out closing instructions. The attorney will provide you with wiring instructions to get the funds to their office before closing. Our team will work with you to give you sorry about that. Our team will work with you and give you oops. Let me back up for a second. So the mortgage commitment is issued. Our team will issue the mortgage clear to close. That goes on to the closing team, and that's when you begin working with the attorney and our closing team. At that point, 2 to 3 days before closing, we update your credit report. We don't do a new hard pull on your credit, but we do update just to make sure there's been no new trades open. So you didn't go out and buy a car, or you didn't go out and open a credit card and now have a $10,000 balance on it. We review your credit report just to make sure everything's the same from when we originally started the process. Once we check your credit report, we also verify that you're still employed with the same employer. If anything changes during the transaction, if you change jobs, if something was changed, just reach out to your mortgage originator, and we will go over everything with you and make sure that you're safe and things are going to follow through. It has happened, people change jobs in the middle of a transaction, and just as long as you're keeping the conversation open with your originator, you should be good to go. When income hasn't changed, we will prepare you for the next steps. We will at that point, once everything's all set, we'll issue a closing disclosure. The closing disclosure is going to mirror your original document that you received at the time of application, which is your loan estimate. The closing disclosure is going to give you all the final numbers, just like the loan estimate did, and it should be no surprises. It's going to tell you how much you need to bring to closing. It will outline whatever it's cost you in the transaction, and the closing disclosure has to be in hand. Usually we have it within 4 days of closing for you. So you'll have that in hand with instructions on how you get your funds to closing. Usually at that point, you'd work with the attorney. Whatever is due at closing will then get sent to the attorney through a wire, and you can work with your bank, or you can work with the credit union. If the money's at the credit union, we can help you send that money on over the day before closing to make sure you're all prepared for when the closing happens. Next screen. So at the closing, you've received your final closing disclosure, which has all your final numbers. Usually a day before closing, you go through a walkthrough. You're going to go through the house or the condo or the apartment, and make sure that everything's as is, just as you expected it. If the sellers were going to leave their wash machine and dryer, the wash machine and dryer is there. If they were going to repair anything, the repairs have been made. So you have a chance to go through the property right before closing to make sure everything is satisfied to your liking. Next screen.
Okay, now I'm going to invite Ryan to come back on. And again, I will invite you, our participants, to put your questions into the Q&A feature of Zoom. We do have some questions that we're going to be answering, but feel free to drop your questions as they occur to you into that Q&A, and we'll get to as many as we can. So I guess the first question I'd like to ask you to answer, Ryan, is how long does the pre-approval process typically take?
Yeah, so I mean, once you submit that pre-approval application, we review all of your documents that we have requested. Typically, we turn it around to you. It takes about 1 day. That's as quickly as we like to get it out to you, just so you are ready and you have it in hand.
1 day after you have everything in?
Correct. Yeah, application submitted, we have it. So we like to turn it around quickly so you are prepared and ready to go out. So.
Because I do remember as a buyer, especially a first-time buyer, it took a long time to assemble all our stuff. So I don't want people to think, oh, it will be overnight, because there's things on your end you need to get.
Right. We need to review a couple things. But we try to get it out to you as quickly as possible. I mean, there are circumstances we may need to review a couple more items from you. It might take a little longer, but typically, 24 hours, we like to get it out to you.
And then on the flip side of that, we have someone on the call who says, I may not purchase a home in the next 2 years. So they have a longer timeline. When should I obtain a pre-approval? So if you're not sure when you're buying, or if it's a little ways off, when is a good time to think about it?
Yeah, so I mean, you do have 90 days on that initial pre-approval, but what I would recommend is just kind of getting the conversation going, pre-qualification for now, while you do get your timeline in order. And then when you are ready, just give us a call and we'll get you that pre-approval. So, I don't think it's advantageous to do it right now, if you're not anticipating to purchase in 2 years, but that way we can kind of talk a little more about your situation and get you prepared when you are ready in that 2-year period.
Okay. Then we do have a question from someone who is asking, is getting a real estate attorney 100% necessary? I personally think yes, both from my experience having bought and sold homes over the years, and also as a certified credit union financial counselor. I think having your interest protected by an attorney is really important. But I'm wondering, Ryan, I know we will have an attorney on the webinar on Thursday called Assembling Your Team. And it's someone that our Sarah Ricciardelli, we have worked with a lot at Harvard FCU, one of the attorneys that we've worked with quite a bit. Do you have any thoughts on that, Ryan,
Oh
about?
yeah, I mean the attorneys are necessary because they are going to protect you, as the buyer, do all the legal work, the title exams, all these things. We will require, though, if you do work with us, you need to have a real estate specific attorney that is eligible to be approved by our closing department to handle the transaction, because they're not only representing you as well, they're going to represent us too for for the closing. So we need to ensure that you do have one in place. But yeah, Thursday would be a great day when Sarah comes. She'll kind of explain everything that she does and what her role is in the transaction in greater depth than I can.
Yeah. Yeah. So for anyone on the call, Thursday will be a realtor, an attorney. So talking about market conditions, an attorney and a home inspector. And they're all great presenters. So you can learn a lot from that, I would say. Ryan, we also have a question that what credit score do you recommend people have before starting the process?
So, we can lend you on 620 or higher on the credit score, but keep in mind the credit score is going to play into the interest rate you receive based on risk-based pricing. So, the stronger the credit, the better interest rate that you will get. So it's something to consider as well. So I think that'd be definitely a good idea to maybe speak with GreenPath on that too, on your, kind of your credit and everything, and they can walk you through as well. But welcome to give us a call and we can kind of take a look on what your current credit score is and give you a better idea.
And just to reiterate for folks, GreenPath is our nonprofit partner. Just by being on this call, you do not have to be a member of the credit union to access GreenPath. I know Ty put into the chat the link to start talking to GreenPath. It's free financial counseling, and we highly recommend that. And the other thing I want to mention for those who are members is we have the new tool Savvy Money, where you can look both at your current credit report, your current credit score very easily. But you also can do a simulator to say, what would happen if I closed my oldest card? How would that affect my credit? Or, there's different things that you can, which we don't recommend. Keep your oldest card open if you can. But So if you are a member and you're on this call or if you'd like to become a member, it's very easy to use for free Savvy Money to also look at your credit score. But we love GreenPath. We recommend them. They are available in multiple languages, extended business hours. So please avail yourself of GreenPath. It's a great takeaway about how you can get ready to buy later. Let's see. We have a question from someone on the call without giving too much detail. They're on a visa that is not an immigrant visa. So they're for scholars in science and technology fields. They're wondering if they're allowed to buy a house and how the process would look. So for international members, what can we do?
Yeah, so we can lend you as long as you are legally present and we can verify that. We'll need to collect, your documentation just to ensure, and then there's an additional piece of document that we can review, and then as long as we can verify that you are legally present in the United States, you can lend and you have, access to all of our lending products. So nothing would change out of the process, really.
Okay. Thank you. I see someone has their hand up. It's easier if you can put your question into the Q&A feature, if you're able to do that. I'm going to ask you to put your question into the Q&A and we will definitely try to get to it. So we have a question about what can you tell me about the home buying market in Massachusetts? And do you anticipate the rates going down anytime soon? So those are kind of two different questions a little bit. It is certainly a seller's market right now, unfortunately for buyers on the call. We will be going more into market conditions, definitely on Thursday with our realtor, Dino Conflore, is going to tell you all about market conditions. And also on Friday, our home equity discussion is also going to touch on market conditions. I wondered, I know we can't predict rates, but do we know anything about rates going up, going down? Can you speak to that, Ryan?
Oh yeah, let me check my crystal ball. No, I'm just kidding. No, I
I
mean,
know our rates are always up there on our.
I know. So it is starting to move. We are seeing some trends downward, which is nice. We're out of the sevens, so that's been great. But it's one of those things we actually do, Ty, I don't know if you have a link. You can monitor our rates right on our website as well. If not, we can kind of plug that in somewhere, I'm sure. But if you go to our website, we post the daily rates, and you can check them there, or you can give one of us a call. Just check in with us, shoot us an email. We can let you know what they are. So it's hard to predict. I don't want to get, kind of stuck saying one thing or the other, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we start to see some more downward movement. Thanks, Ty.
Yeah, Ty did put that into the chat. So if you want to take a look at that, thank you, Ty, Ty from my team. So we also have a question from a participant on here for the income document. Do we need to submit our tax returns?
Depends. So, are you self-employed? Are you W-2? For the mortgage process itself, yes. Pre-approval, maybe not. So it all kind of depends on what your employment status is, but it could be something. So that's one of those documents, as you are starting this, it is good to kind of get everything kind of organized on your end. So get your W-2s, your most recent pay stubs, tax returns, asset statements. Good thing to do is really just kind of make a PDF folder of everything so it is on hand in case, because sometimes we start going through the process and more documents are going to be requested that are needed. So it's just good to have them on hand either way.
Thank you. Then we had a question, is income calculated based off of gross or take home?
Gross. Yep. Pre-tax. That's what we'll be using.
Thank you. Would it be better to get your credit cleaned up before trying to get pre-approval? Or should you try to get your score to a certain number? Is that important, or should the people be in touch with us now?
It's because we are going to use that credit score, for your pre-approval. So a lot of things do factor into that. I would say if you can get it cleaned up, it's obviously beneficial for you to do so. Again, this is great for a GreenPath probably to take a look at too as well. But the stronger your credit score, I think the better off you'll be in the long run.
Thank you. You may notice I'm directing all my questions to Ryan. Sharon has graciously come on this call, even though she's not feeling very well, so that's why. Both of them super skilled. Normally, I'd be dividing this up, but
She's
thank you,
texting me, don't worry. She's giving me too.
Ryan. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
and I think you already answered this, but just to reiterate, what's the minimum recommended score before you go for pre-approval?
I mean, so the minimum to lend to you is 620. Really, so A plus, the strongest that you can look for which is going to help your interest rate, and PMI if applicable is 780 or higher,
Okay, thank you. Um,
but not required. So keep that in mind. So it's not.
okay, thank you. What is the average amount for a down payment?
So average amount, it varies. It all depends. On a conventional mortgage, we can do as low as 3% down. Typically, we see anywhere from that 3 to, sky's the limit. So it's really, there's no really kind of blanket statement to cover that amount.
Mhm.
So it's
And I will also, I don't know if this is relevant, but I do want to mention tomorrow's session with Mass Housing is going to cover down payment assistance programs in Massachusetts that you may be eligible for. So that one is specific to Massachusetts. If you're a Massachusetts buyer, I definitely recommend joining us tomorrow for affordable home buying. So thank you for that question. Um, What is considered a first-time home buyer? This person purchased a home with their husband 35 years ago and will be purchasing on their own this time.
okay. So a first-time home buyer is if you have not had ownership in a property in the past 3 years. So if you were currently on that deed of the previous property and have ownership, you would not be considered a first-time home buyer. But let's say if you sold it, 5 years ago, no longer owned by you, then you would requalify to be a first-time home buyer again.
Okay, thank you. Someone's asking if the slides and the recordings will be available later. Yes, they will all be sent to you. Everybody who's on this call will receive them. So thank you for that. Um, what about if you're interested in purchasing a home with a partner, but you are not married? Are there suggestions on jointly applying or any advice that you have, Ryan?
Yeah, so I mean, it's absolutely doable. I mean, you'd just be, non-married co-applicants. We see this pretty frequently, so it is, it's something that does occur uh, pretty frequently. So it's, we can use both of your income and your qualifications on the application as well.
Okay, thank you. Um, let's see, if someone gives a larger down payment, do they qualify for a lower interest rate as a result? Like if they have enough savings to put down a bigger down?
Yeah, typically, so that is factored in. So the loan to value, so what your down payment is on the purchase price, and then your credit score is all factored into the interest rates. Typically, if you're using a 25% down payment or greater, you will receive a much, because it's a risk-based thing when we're looking at it. So you will receive a much more favorable interest rate. But you can always reach out to one of us so we can run you a scenario kind of based on what you're thinking to do and what the rate would end up being.
Okay, yeah. I know for those of people who are lucky enough to already be in the market, sometimes they have more money to put down for that down payment, which is nice. Um, okay, this one may be more for our attorney on Thursday, but I will just ask it anyway. Are good faith deposits refundable if your offer isn't accepted? Or if you later find something about the property that means you no longer want to move forward with the purchase?
Yep. So that typically with the earnest money, it's about $1,000 when you make that offer. If your offer is not accepted, that will be refunded to you. There'll be a second wave of the earnest money given with the purchase and sales agreement. So the home's under contract, and then you go to the next phase.
Mhm.
If something for whatever the reason doesn't go through, and the deal is kind of soured, that will be refunded to you. But this is one of the key reasons why you do need an attorney to make sure that you're protected as the buyer.
Right, because your attorney's putting certain contingencies into the offer, and if
Right. Yeah.
your attorney and your
Yeah.
agent,
And
so
those are all there to protect you as the consumer. So definitely, you really want that
okay,
all in place to protect you.
yep. Um, So someone is mentioning something that, again, maybe you want to be on Thursday's session with the realtor, but I'll ask it. Recently, they see a huge divergence between the assessed value of property in the area for tax purposes versus the comp sales in the same area. And usually those actual sale prices have been higher lately in this area, I notice. Which of these should they be using for the purpose of estimation about what the appraisal is gonna be?
Yeah, so you'd be looking at the comp value for what the appraisal would come back at. So it's going to go heavy on the comparable sales in the area. The assessed value is typically lower when you are looking at it. But this is I'm sure Dino will cover this too as well, kind of with the market value and
Yep.
pinpointing that down for you.
Yeah, Dino's our realtor who will be with us on Thursday. Please clarify, we'll tell you how much money to bring to closing. That does sound daunting, but
Um, so it all varies. It depends on the purchase price, the town. It's all typically what we say is anywhere from 1.25% to 1.5% of the purchase price, just so you kind of have a figure in mind to kind of save and have on hand. But we'll break that all down for you if you ever need an estimate, and then when we send you that loan estimate, we'll have specific figures in place for you. But that I'd say 1.5 on the top end, just so you kind of have that in the back of your head.
um, can you just go over sequencing again a little bit? Should I have my pre-approval in hand before selecting a buyer's agent? That's your realtor who represents you as a buyer.
Right, yeah. So typically before they start to work with you, they want to ensure that you are pre-approved and ready to go. But I mean, you can call them too anytime and get the conversation rolling. And then when you're ready, it's all on your timeline. It's your transaction, it's your purchase. So
Yep.
whichever way you kind of want to go at it, that's perfect for us. So, but before they want to kind of get out there and start viewing properties with you, they want to make sure that you have been pre-approved.
Um, let's see. I'm just looking at some of the questions I think we've already answered. Is any part of this process different for high demand areas such as Lexington?
As far as the pre-approval process, or what do the home, I mean, it's, competitive markets are obviously going to be a little different than non-competitive markets, but as far as getting pre-approved items like that, I mean, we cover all of New England and Florida, so it's kind of all the same.
Yeah. So I think maybe the realtor might speak to this a little bit, that I think, there may be
Yeah,
some
like things you can do in your offer to make it, to kind
more
of,
attractive.
yeah, correct.
Uh, as it relates to our economy, just generally, is it a good time to look for a home?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's one of the best investments you can make, of course. I mean, I'm not an economist by any means, so I'm not going to touch on the economy itself, but I think if you're prepared and you're ready, I think now is a great time to purchase a home. It's your path to financial freedom.
I know for many Americans, it is also a way to really build up wealth. And I know for me, I bought my first condo in this market years and years and years ago. And at the time, it seemed crazy to put down that much money for something. And boy, am I glad that I got into the market, because it only gets harder as you go down the line, I feel like. So if you're able, and if you are feeling like you might not be able, definitely come tomorrow to our affordable home buying session. Um, Even if you can't come, if you register for it, you'll get the information sent to you. So I will mention that too. Can you go over again the items that are needed for the pre-approval?
Yeah, so for the pre-approval itself, what we want to see your income. So depending on how you're paid, we really want to see the the past month, so 30 days of either paychecks or however you are paid, just to kind of review that. And then we want to see your assets, where's this down payment? We want to verify that. And then we want to run your credit as well and review your credit report.
And is that a hard credit pull, Ryan? That's another
That
question.
is a hard credit pull. So yeah, that's kind of why we like to start with that pre-qualification conversation before we do run your credit, because it is a hard credit inquiry.
Okay, sounds good. Um, let's see. Is it possible to use a housing voucher to assist with the home buying process? Um, this might be a little bit more of a complicated conversation, because if you already have a particular kind of voucher, maybe you want to reach out to our mortgage officers. I'm going to give you all their contact information next, and check in with them. But if it's something where you want to learn about affordable home buying programs, do come tomorrow. I will say that. How long should someone wait if in the past they had multiple hard inquiries on their credit? So maybe if your credit's been a bit in flux, or you've had stuff going on, do you need to wait
So from that initial pull on a real estate transaction, you do have a 45-day window where it's not going to affect you again on a hard credit check. So, if it's within that window, you should be perfectly fine where it would have any kind of decrease or any kind of effect to you.
Okay. Um, are there additional steps in the loan process if someone is buying under an LLC versus an individual or couple?
Yes, there is. So first off, you'd need to find a lender that will allow you to purchase under an LLC. The Harvard Credit Union, unfortunately, we don't offer that at this time. So we lend to individuals, or if the property is going to be owned by a trust with that. But LLCs, you need to find a specific lender that can assist you with that.
So we do trusts.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, the property can be owned by a trust, correct?
Okay. Okay. Um, some of these questions I think are going to be more appropriate to be answered by our attorney on Thursday, such as like, what are the attorney fees on average? Let's see. How do fluctuations in credit score affect you? This person has a current credit score near 700, but their history has fluctuated over the years. How might that affect their interest rate? Or is it really just where they're at now?
It's where you're at now when we do that initial pull. So there's going to be three credit bureaus. We're going to use the middle of the three scores on what we use.
If someone is changing a job, does it need to be within the same like job description or employer, for instance, to count as a long-term job? How do you?
Correct. Yeah. So if you are changing jobs at any point in the process, you do want to make sure it's in the same industry or field, just to kind of show, it's no problem if you do change your job, but we do want to make sure it's within that just to show the stability
Mhm.
and predictability of it.
Okay. Just briefly, is there anything you can say about those other opportunities for first-time home buyers? I know we're going to cover that tomorrow, but is there anything that we have someone asking about that, and also asking if there's a particular state in New England that we recommend buying in with that in mind?
Um, I'm just trying to. So you're looking for kind of for like state programs? Am I hearing
I
that
think
question
so.
correctly?
And I mean, I will say that
Yeah.
tomorrow's session is about Massachusetts buyers.
Right.
To
So
live
we
right now.
currently for like, government assistance programs, anything like that, we're currently only partnered with Mass Housing. So that's good for Mass. But as far as kind of other state programs out there, we don't really have the lending capability on at the current moment.
Mhm. Um, does your interest rate change if you're a citizen or a permanent resident versus a visa holder?
No, that plays no effect in that calculation.
And then what about if someone is getting ready to retire and this person is not drawing upon Social Security yet? Can they still buy a house if they have enough saved?
Yeah, but we do need to ensure that there will be income following then. So we don't offer like bank statement loans like that, but if you will be receiving that Social Security or retirement streams from various sources, we can use that as qualified income as long as you do receive that within 60 days of closing.
Mhm. Okay. Um, and I think we have a question about generational household, three generations living together. Can all the adults be on the application, or do you not recommend that? Do you run pre-approvals for multiple buyer scenarios? Or can you just give someone advice if they come in and they're like, okay, all these people are living here and can participate?
Yeah, I mean it all depends on your certain, situation. So we can pre-approve you. We can put everybody on the application. Sharon, what's the maximum on it? I can't remember off the top of my head. Is it four applicants?
Four. Yeah,
Four, yeah.
four.
So you can
Yep.
have up to four applicants on a mortgage. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Slipped my mind. So you can have up to four. So it's kind of, we can weigh your options. If you give us a call, we can do the pre-qualification, see if it works with all or some or just yourself. We can kind of take a look at it in that regard and really kind of, detail a plan out for you that'll help.
Okay. And do those four need to be related? That's another question.
No, they don't, not necessarily.
Um, what about if someone purchased a home in Texas, but it would be their first time buying in Massachusetts? Do you qualify as a first time home buyer in that situation?
No, it's not state specific, unfortunately. So it's just if you've had ownership in another property.
What about if they can't find a home within 90 days? The pre-approval's running out. What do you do?
Yep, give us a call. We'll refresh you a new one. It is going to be a new hard credit check to do so, and then we'll need your updated pay stubs and just to kind of verify that nothing has changed since that initial pre-approval went out to you 90 days ago.
Okay. Ty, could you please put into the chat the where to register for tomorrow's session? We had that question in the Q&A. I see someone else raise their hand. If you can put your question into the Q&A, we'll try and get to it. Just a couple more questions, I think. One more time, how is it determined who can access the benefits that Massachusetts offers for first-time home buyers?
So for the mass housing program, they have, so it has to be in Massachusetts, number one. It has to be specific to their lending guidelines. That'll be covered in much more depth tomorrow, but there are income limits for certain programs that we'll need to make sure that we can conform to their lending guidelines because we're just a partner with them. So we do follow what they offer. Jeff will definitely cover this tomorrow. It's going to be, great to attend and kind of look because they really do vary by county in the state of Mass. So for which programs will work for you based on income limits, credit scores, debt to income ratios, things like that.
We have a question. What is the average rate today? I think we put our rates into the chat, so you can take a look at
Yeah,
all.
about 6.75 today is kind of, I think that's the, I haven't looked at the daily average yet on the nation. I've been a little tied up, but yeah, we've been hovering 6.75 around that area. And then if you open that Crimson Elite, 6.625, eighth off.
Okay, yeah, so that's a particular account that we have, and we offer a extra bonus for that. Low income first time programs, this is the question. We are going to answer that tomorrow. The link is in the chat to register. I recommend registering even if you can't make it because we will send you the slides if you register. Let's see. Do we offer at Harvard FCU Islamic financing options for home purchases? It's something about the interest rates and religious prohibition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to kind of answer that question correctly. We don't discriminate though based on
Yeah,
religion.
we certainly offer to all buyers.
Yeah. So it's
Call and talk to us because there may be a way for it to work out, but
yeah, correct. So it's I
certainly
would
lend to
say give
many
it if that
Muslim.
seems a little specific, you can give us a call. We can look into it for you. I'm not really
Yeah.
too sure.
I know we lend to many Muslim buyers, so
Of course.
let's figure it out.
Yeah.
I think we do. I'm just gonna ask this. I'm pretty sure we do not do this. Do we offer construction loans to build a house?
Unfortunately, no. We don't offer construction or land loans. We can lend though, if you do keep in mind on new constructions, so where you're purchasing it from the developer or the builder, we can lend on those situations, but we can't finance for you to build your own home, unfortunately.
Okay, I see. Right. And then we have a question, do we loan in Texas and Illinois? No, we do not. We loan in New England states and in Florida. So just to reiterate that, I think that we have covered all the questions. If we didn't get to you, I will take a look at them afterwards and I'll try and email folks if there's a particular question that was more specific. I do want to just quickly go through. These are our 4 mortgage loan originators. They're all highly skilled here at the credit union. I know Ty has put in the chat the links to reach them, but also here's everybody's emails and you'll get these slides with the emails. Here is the link for mortgages. At the beginning, I think I mentioned that we would love your honest feedback about this presentation. We always read them and try to modify our webinars based on what we learned. So we would love to hear from you. Please fill out the survey. Again, we would love it if you could come tomorrow also for affordable home buying, or on Thursday to talk to our realtor, attorney, and home inspector, or on Friday to talk about home equity. So those are the other sessions. And that is all that we have today. Thank you everyone for coming, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And join us again tomorrow. All of our sessions are between 12 and 1. So hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.